Life in solitude, especially as we grow older, is often seen as a time of peace, inner strength, and complete freedom. You're free to live by your own rules, to choose what to do and when, without having to consider the expectations or obligations of others. It sounds like a dream, and in many ways, it truly is. The silence, the autonomy, the sense of control over your own time and space can be deeply fulfilling. But like every story, this one has another side, a quieter, more delicate truth that is rarely spoken out loud. It's not dramatic or frightening. It's simply made of those subtle feelings, those quiet realizations that only come through lived experience. They're not easy to put into words, which is why they're often left unspoken. Over time, I've gathered reflections and insights from various forums, communities, and platforms where people share openly and honestly what they've learned from living alone. These are not just personal musings. They're part of a collective voice, a chorus of experiences from people who have already traveled this road. And what stands out in their stories is not regret or complaint, but a calm, grounded honesty. There's a deep sense of acceptance in their words and a desire to help others see clearly what lies ahead. That's why I want us to talk, really talk, about the other side of solitude in old age. The one that rarely makes it into conversation, but that deserves to be seen. Most importantly, I want to explore how we can transform this stage of life into a true source of power, wisdom, and inner freedom. Let's begin with something simple but essential. In solitude, you are your own emergency response. One of the most surprising discoveries of living alone in later life is this heightened awareness, the realization that, in a crisis, your safety depends entirely on you. There's no one in the next room to notice if something's wrong, no one to call for help, no one to simply ask if you're all right. And that truth can be both sobering and empowering. I've read countless stories of people who faced moments of anxiety or vulnerability. One person slipped in the bathtub and was stuck there for hours until, by pure luck, the phone rang. Another began taking their phone into the bathroom every time they showered, not out of fear but as a basic precaution. It was simply the smart thing to do. One man shared that, after a fall, he started wearing a smartwatch with automatic fall detection and emergency call features. It gave him real peace of mind, a sense that he was no longer completely alone in the face of risk. What once seemed like unnecessary gadgets suddenly became vital tools. A smartwatch, a panic button, regular calls with family or friends. These aren't just conveniences. They can make the difference between a scare and a disaster. One woman wrote about how she installed a security lock on her front door, one that allows her loved ones to enter without breaking it down if something goes wrong. These aren't decisions made from fear. They're signs of maturity, of a thoughtful, responsible independence that doesn't deny vulnerability, but respects it. Living alone doesn't mean living recklessly. It means living with awareness, with intention, and with deep respect for your own well-being. Second, loneliness is a real issue, even for introverts. It may seem like living alone is the perfect scenario for an introvert: silence, freedom, no rush, no obligations. In the first few years, this can truly feel like a long-awaited relief. But over time, even the most introverted people begin to miss simple human presence. On forums and in personal stories, the same idea often emerges. With age, the social circle narrows. Friends move away, retire, and drift out of sight. Some people leave for good. And making new friends becomes more difficult. There are fewer opportunities, less energy, and sometimes the faith that a real new connection is even possible starts to fade. One older man shared, "Sometimes I go 3 or 4 days without saying a word aloud. I love my solitude, but I miss simple conversations about what to cook for dinner, about the weather. There's no one to just share the moment with. In those moments, It's especially important to find sources of warmth and connection, even if they're small. Many people find comfort in pets. A cat, a dog, even a parrot won't replace a person, but they do offer routine, care, and emotional response. As one woman said, "My cat can't speak, but he greets me at the door every time." And there's something magical about that, the feeling that someone has been waiting for you. Loneliness is not a sentence, but it must be acknowledged in order to live with it. And if you find ways to add even a drop of communication, participation, or casual smiles to your life, you've already taken a step toward inner balance. Third, caring for the home can be exhausting. As we age, what once seemed like a trivial task starts to take up more and more energy. The house, which was once a source of pride, can gradually become a constant source of fatigue. Dust on the shelves, creaking steps, grass that needs to be mowed, everything piles up, and sooner or later, the moment comes when you simply don't want to deal with it anymore. There are many stories on forums about people postponing household chores, not out of laziness, but simply because they no longer had the energy. One woman confessed, "I had a list of chores, windows, shelves, curtains, but each item felt like something that would require a week of rest afterward." This isn't about weakness. It's about how the body changes and the rhythm of life shifts. In these moments, it's especially important to allow yourself not to handle everything alone. If possible, hire a helper for the heavy work. Sometimes, even a weekly visit can make life easier. Ask for help from loved ones. Most of the time, they're happy to do something useful. And if finances allow, it might be worth considering moving to a smaller home. Less space means fewer worries, less time cleaning, and more freedom. Focusing on what truly fulfills you: walks, hobbies, reading, life. Accepting your limitations isn't a sign of weakness. It's a form of self-care. Lately, a mysterious purple shell has left doctors and experts speechless. Just a few years ago, a scientist was ridiculed for claiming that this shell could triple calorie burn, even while we sleep. Today, his discovery has been shared over 1 million times, and thousands of people are already waking up feeling lighter and younger every morning, without dieting or exercising. The best part? It's as simple as taking one step before going to bed. After finishing this video, check out the link in the description and discover how this strange purple shell could transform your body starting tonight. Fourth, the daily routine becomes sacred, and that's perfectly fine when you live alone, especially as you age. The little everyday things stop being just background noise and become your anchors. The daily routine becomes a support system, a rhythm that gives structure and peace to life. When there's no partner or family nearby to share responsibilities, plans, or conversations, it's precisely the routine that keeps you afloat. And there's nothing depressing about that. On the contrary, there's a deep beauty in it. Many people share how their morning coffee on the terrace becomes a true ritual. Some always watch the same TV show before bed to feel that the day is over. A woman over 70 shared how she played the same song every day while making breakfast. Not because it was necessary, but to fill the house with life, sound, and movement. A man wrote that every night he waters his garden not so much for the plants, but for the internal sense of meaning and order it gives him. The routine is not a prison, it's a framework. These are the familiar points on the map of the day, providing a sense of control, peace, and even joy. Don't let anyone make you believe that routine is a sign of a boring life. On the contrary, it's your own rhythm, your self-care, your form of spiritual resilience. In solitude, the routine can become not just a habit, but an act of self-love. Fifth, cooking for one is difficult, but it can become a pleasure. Cooking for yourself can be unexpectedly difficult. It doesn't make sense to prepare large meals. And sometimes it's simply too much effort to do it just for yourself. Many admit that they more often buy frozen meals or takeout because it's easier. But, as one woman wrote in a forum, learning to cook for yourself means rethinking the process. It's no longer a chore, but an act of self-care. Try cooking dishes for the weekend that will last for several days. For some, it became a hobby, experimenting with recipes and treating oneself. It's an act of self-love, reminding yourself, I am worthy of care. And it's also cheaper and healthier in the long run. Sixth, silence can be both a blessing and a curse. Many don't realize how oppressive stillness can feel when they start living alone, especially if they previously had a house full of people or a noisy work environment. Especially at night, the house can feel overwhelmingly quiet. Some enjoy this peace, while others feel anxious. An older woman wrote that she started turning on the radio while cleaning, just to avoid the silence. One man listened to podcasts all day to feel like someone was talking to him. Music, audiobooks, and TV, these all help. But on the other hand, silence can become a true gift. Space for reflection, recovery, isolation. The seventh need is to intentionally maintain physical activity when living alone, especially in old age. This means you have fewer reasons to move. You don't have a partner to go for a walk with, or someone to take you to the gym, and it's easy to fall into a sedentary lifestyle. Many write about how they noticed their activity levels dropping sharply. One man shared that he stopped walking every day, and only when his body started to feel numb did he realize how inactive he had become. When you're your own motivator, you need to intentionally include physical activity in your routine. Even if it's just walking steps, a light stretch in the morning, or exercise classes for seniors, it has a big impact on health. One woman got a dog for that very reason. Dogs need to be walked, which means you'll be exercising too. Activity isn't restricted to the gym. It can be gardening, dancing in the living room, or taking the stairs. This lifts the spirits and clears the mind. Eighth, your perception of time can change unexpectedly. Another thing rarely talked about is how much your perception of time can change when living alone. Without the rhythm of another person in the house, you can lose track of time, the day of the week, the month, or even the time of day. Many in forums share how the days either stretch on endlessly or a whole week goes by and you haven't noticed. One man wrote that after retiring and the death of his wife, he often didn't know whether it was Monday or Friday. There are no external references, like your partner's work or your kids' school activities, to structure your day. Good news, now you can create your own rhythm. Some find a flexible schedule helps, such as going shopping on Mondays, cleaning on Thursdays. Other hobbies that provide a reference point, like an afternoon gardening routine, Sunday dinners, weekly circles or classes. It's important not only to keep track of time, but also to enjoy it. Living alone is an opportunity to shape the day as it suits you, and that's a gift. Just like the video I've left in the description about a mysterious purple shell that rejuvenates you and helps you burn fat up to 3 times faster. Ninth, letting go of things becomes both easier and harder at the same time. When you live alone, cleaning and organizing take on special meaning. On one hand, no one argues about what to throw away and what to keep. On the other hand, each item in the house becomes a reflection of your life. Every photograph, every book, every piece of furniture holds memories, and it's painful to let them go. An older woman wrote that she kept many unnecessary things in her home simply because they are my memories. She asked herself, am I the only one who feels this way if I let it go? But then she thought, do I want someone else to come after me and get rid of everything for me? Many people on forums talk about how difficult it is to say goodbye emotionally to things. Each item is a chapter of life, but in simplification, there is freedom. A man, over 60 years old, decided to reduce his possessions to make life easier for himself and his family. He wrote that he felt at peace when the house became simpler and more manageable. Clearing out in old age isn't about minimalism for fashion's sake. It's about having your home reflect your current self, not who you were in the past. Keep what brings you joy, but by letting go of the unnecessary, you free up space in both your home and your soul. Start small, with a box, a shelf, and allow yourself to feel all the emotions that come with it. 10th, invitations to social gatherings may become less frequent, and you'll have to create joy for yourself. One of the surprises is how the number of invitations to social gatherings gradually decreases. It's not because people no longer care about you, but because friends and family have moved on to other stages of life. They have kids, jobs, they've moved, and you start to notice you're going to fewer parties, gatherings, and outings. Many people in forums wrote about how they began to feel a bit isolated. One woman wrote, "I used to wait for someone to call me. Now I get it. I have to be proactive." It's amazing. Such valuable advice. Instead of waiting for invitations, create your own social life. Invite a friend for coffee, organize a book club, host a movie night at home. And the most enjoyable part is that when you're the organizer, you get to choose how the gathering will unfold. A 60-year-old man started organizing Sunday walks around the neighborhood. A small group gathers, and together they discover new paths. This keeps him fit and gives him a sense of connection with others. You're free to build your social life on your own. Do you like crafting? Host a creative evening. Love a particular series? Have a mini weekly marathon with friends? Start it yourself, and you'll see others follow your lead. 11th, it's easier to forget self-care, but it's more important than ever. When you live alone, no one will notice if you wear the same clothes for 3 days straight or if you haven't cooked a proper meal in a week. It's easy to fall into a routine where self-care takes a back seat. Many people confess on forums, "Who is all this for? Who am I doing this for?" But here's the thing, you do it for yourself. One man shared how, after years of solitude, he realized he had let the small things slip. He skipped meals, didn't wash regularly, and spent hours sitting on the couch. Then he reminded himself, "I deserve the same attention I would give to someone else." Taking care of yourself isn't just about appearance and nutrition. It's about mental health. Regular doctor visits, getting enough sleep, and doing things that bring you joy, these are all important. When you live alone, self-care becomes even more crucial. A woman shared that in the evenings, she lights candles, puts on a face mask, and reads a book. It's a small ritual, but it makes her feel warmer. Taking care of yourself should be a priority, even if no one notices. Get dressed in the morning, even if you're not going out. Make yourself delicious meals. Pamper yourself in ways that make you happy. You live alone, but you deserve the best, and only you can give it to yourself. Living alone in old age is not just a trial. It can be a deeply fulfilling, mindful, and happy life. You have the freedom to create the life you want, and that is truly valuable. But don't forget, asking for help is normal. It's wise to prepare for the unexpected. Communicating with others is a strength, not a weakness. You've come a long way, and there's so much more to come. Surround yourself with what brings you joy, whether it's a pet, a garden, or a favorite book. And when the tough days come, remember, you're not alone. There's an entire community of people like you walking the same path. Imagine waking up every day feeling lighter without extreme diets or exhausting workouts. Scientists have discovered a purple shell that activates metabolism in a surprising way, tripling calorie burn and rejuvenating you even while you sleep. Over 1 million people have already tried this secret. Will you be the next to discover it? Watch the video in the description before it gets removed. Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss out on new releases. Thanks for watching.